All right. We're going to start a meeting of the Planning, Zoning, and Historical Committee. The first, we have a consent agenda, and some items are going to be pulled out. And if you want me to pull out any other items, please let me know. The first item that I'm going to pull out is 1372, BL 2018-1372. The other one I'm going to pull out is RS 2018-1504. So these are the items that are on the consent agenda. Resolution RS 2018-1505 by O'Connell and Bedne. It authorizes C222 LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 215 First Avenue South. RS 2018-1506 by O'Connell and Bedne. It authorized Wild Horse Saloon Entertainment Ventures, LLC, to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 122nd Avenue North. BL 2018-1388. Do we need to pull out this one, being that is a letter to defer? All right, I'm going to pull this one out. BL 2018-1388 is going to be pulled. BL 2018-1409 by O'Connell and Bedne. It authorized Oliver McMillan Spectrum Emery LLC to install and construct and maintain an aerial and underground encroachment in the right-of-way located at 601 Commerce Street. BL 2018-1410 by Kendall, Bedne, and O'Connell. It authorizes 204 Ackland LLC to install, construct, and maintain underground encroachments in the right-of-way located at 204 Ackland Park Drive. BL 2018-1411 by Kendall, Bedne, and O'Connell. It authorizes E3 Construction Services LLC to install, construct, and maintain underground encroachments in the right-of-way located at 613 B 27th Avenue North. BL 2018-1412 by Withers, Bedne, and O'Connell. It abandons an existing water and sanitary sewer mains, a sanitary sewer manhole, and easements, and to accept new water and sanitary sewer mains, sanitary sewer manholes, fire hydrants, and easements for 6 properties located on South 6th Street and South 7th Street. BL 20, these are now is bills on third reading. Bill 2018-1364 by Kendall. It changes 0.68 acres from SPR to RM20A zoning on properties located at 2805, 2807, 2809, and 2811 Delaware Avenue. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you're saying that one is on consent?
Yes, you want to pull
I
it
do
out?
have one question, so if you would pull that out, appreciate it.
Sure, you got it. Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to pull 2018-1365, and then the last one on the consent is BL 2018-1366 by Councilmember Pulley. It applies 7.46 acres, a contextual overlay to various properties on General Hood Trail, Winston Place, and Robin Road, south of Woodmont Boulevard. Yes, sir, out of the consent? No problem. So, do I need to pull any of the ones I read from the consent agenda? All right, do I have a motion to approve? There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Oppose? All right, so Councilmember O'Connell, BL 2018-1372, as amended, it authorizes Metro government to purchase certain property from the state of Tennessee located at 88 Hermitage Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On this one, per the administration, I know this actually went through Budget and Finance before I had arrived at the committee yesterday to speak on this, but Per the administration, as we wait on more information from the state, this bill actually should be deferred till the first meeting in March, please.
You're making a motion.
I'm making a motion.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Oppose? Thank you, Councilmember. All right. Next item that is not on consent is RS 2018-1504 by O'Connell and Bedney. It authorizes BOP Nest Nashville LLC to construct and install an aerial encroachment at 501 Fifth Avenue South. Councilmember Mina Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question about the signage. I think it has two LED. One says need, NIIDO, and that one I have problem. But my question is, another one, it looked like it says powered by Airbnb. So my question, Mr. Jameson, to you is, I think when we passed a short-term rental regulation bill, I believe it was 2014-951. In that section, it's section 1E, it says signage section. It says signs, advertising, or any other display on the property indicating that the dwelling unit is being utilized in whole or in part as STR is prohibited. So this powered by Airbnb does triggers those provisions?
It should, yes, correct.
So, well, if that's the case, unless they remove this powered by Airbnb portion, I recommend to disapprove.
Councilmember O'Connell, this is your legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. James, I don't know. I think Councilmember Johnson raises a really important point here. I don't know if the downtown code, maybe this is something the planning table ought to speak to. I don't know if the downtown code actually has different provisions that would create an exemption effectively under the rest of our signage ordinances. I don't know if that's a question for you or for planning.
I would defer to planning, but I would also recommend in lieu of disapproval that the council lady may consider a one-meeting deferral, just to clarify which section trumps the other, but defer to planning.
I don't know if the planning table wants to speak to this right now, but I would certainly accept a one-meeting deferral as well.
The signage was signed off and approved. I was trying to quickly flip through the downtown code, but it would take me some time to dig into it, but it was approved by planning. So I would have to take more time to look into it.
So, Mr. Chair, I would say either way, I could see this go to a committee vote knowing that Council Lady Johnson intends to disapprove, but I would also be perfectly comfortable with a one-meeting deferral if she would like to do that. And if we get to the floor with this, I might do that myself. Thank you.
So you want to make a motion to defer one meeting?
So, Chair, since I made the motion to disapprove, so I respect to the district council member and the sponsor of the bill, I can detract my motion, and then I will make a motion to defer one meeting.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Oppose? Thank you, council members. Okay, next item is Council Lady Murphy, BL 2018-1388. It abandons existing sanitary sewer mains and easements and to accept a new sanitary sewer main, sanitary sewer manholes and easements for property located at 3964 Woodlawn Drive. Council Lady Murphy.
This is a development that we have been waiting and begging the developer for updated plans. This went to the Historic Commission. They had told the Historic Commission that this had already been approved, which they had not even applied for at the time. We've tried to have multiple community meetings and things like that, but with the developer not sharing plans, I don't think that we're going to be sharing our sewer manholes at this time. So I would like to defer this to the second meeting in January.
So we have a motion and a second. Any comments, questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Thank you, council member. All right, next item is BL 2018-1364 by Councilmember Kindle. It changes 0.68 acres from SPR to RM20-A zoning for properties located at 2805, 2807, 2809, and 2811 Delaware Avenue. Council Lady Mina Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I think this is the one we deferred at the last meeting, and I think the question was raised by fellow council member O'Connell about usage of short-term rental on this particular zone. So if we could ask council member Kendall's explanation or thoughts on that, that would be great.
Okay, I'm not familiar with there being any intent to use it for that, but under RM20, I suppose they can. Is that correct, Mr. Jameson?
That is correct. RM20 would allow both owner-occupied and non-owner-occupied short-term rentals in RM.
Right, as I've expressed before, I'm opposed to that, but I mean, that's the law. I don't know what's the question. Is the question, do they intend to use it for that, or I haven't, my understanding they're selling the property, you know, the developers. There's no prohibition, if that's what you're asking.
Yes, Matt. So under this, from SP to RM20A, so that will, if anybody want to purchase that property and use for short-term rental, they do have right to do so. So I think that's if district council member were opposed to those particular usage, this zone change will actually allow that usage. And so that was the question. So since this is a bulk regulation, we really cannot prohibit short-term rental usage under this zoning code. So
Yeah, well, I haven't heard of any opposition in the area to it being used for that purpose, but it was approved as an SP before, and they came back. Is that what happened?
That's correct.
It's already under construction, right?
I don't know the
I think it
development
is.
status.
I think it is. I'm still not quite understanding. I mean, like I say, I wouldn't oppose it just because they can use it for that purpose. Because the other properties in the area have the same ability. I'm not certain.
I have Councilmember O'Connell on the queue. Can we get him on the? Yes, Councilmember O'Connell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I might, this might be a moment when it's instructive for planning to tell us. Planning, is there any change in entitlements, right? I think that's the real question here. Does moving to RM20 increase, decrease, or otherwise alter entitlements, or is this only a transition that would alter the potential uses available on the property?
The existing SP was approved for 14 multifamily units. RM20A would permit 14 multifamily units. Access would be the same in either case. The SP limited access to the alley only. RM20A, where there is an alley, you must access the alley only. So this would be just a change to allow for uses. So the density would be the same regardless of if it's the SP or a straight zone.
Do we know, did the applicant speak to the intent of the rezoning?
To allow uses of RM20A.
Thank you.
Councilmember Murphy.
I've always had a few issues and concerns when we've seen a few properties come through that have been SPs and then they want to go back to the zoning and things like that. And I think that when this had been discussed before, Councilman O'Connell had indicated that this was something that he had been seeing happening in his district. And I feel like if what I just heard from planning is they want to go back to those uses, I'm concerned without hearing, without having some more certainty through, I mean, I know that you can't do something with the when it's a straight rezone, you can't say these uses aren't, that you can't put a short-term rental in there I hope I'm making sense with this. I just think at this point, with how much is going on in the city and how much concern we're having over Airbnb and how many places we are seeing that we're being told one thing and then they flip it to something else, that it's just a little too concerning to flip it with, I mean, if they're in the process of building, then why didn't they just do this in the beginning? I have an SP in my district that has a restaurant and 3 houses with it, and they were running an Airbnb out of it, and planning and codes determined Airbnb was not one of the uses in the SP, therefore they could no longer do Airbnb there. It sold. I haven't met the family, but I'm sure they're a lovely family, occupying a single-family home now. So I just have concern about, like, we're being told one thing, and then less than a term later, we're being told something else. And so I'm inclined to either needing more information or being opposed to this.
Let me ask a planning question if I can. When the developers spoke with you about this change, was it dealing with the access? Well, what was the rationale for that?
They simply filed an application to rezone to permit all uses of RM20A. With straight zones, we assume that any uses that are permitted under that zoning district are a possibility. And as planning, we review it against the land use policy that's applied to that property to determine if it's appropriate. So for a straight zone change, even if, just for instance, if it was to rezone to MUN, we would assume that any of the uses of MUN, and we would evaluate it under that. Even if they were to come in and say, we're only going to build 5 multifamily, once it's rezoned, then it's permitted for any of the uses, and so we assume that any of the uses are a potential. And so their intent isn't necessarily how we review it, because they could build anything that's permitted under that zone.
I guess my question is, anywhere in the city where they're asking to rezone to this RM20 because they can do Airbnb, we can assume, just like here, that that's the purpose of doing it. Is that right?
I mean, the way that we try not to assume any particular use. We assume all of the uses that are permitted under that zoning district.
Right.
And so if it permits multifamily, non-owner occupied short-term rental, I mean, we assume that any of those could possibly be built. Our evaluation is based on the land use policy, and so if it's a policy that supports that zoning district, then that's what our evaluation would be on.
So I guess maybe I'm being repetitive here, but anywhere that someone's requesting a change from SP to RM20 or RM40, whatever, we should be opposed to it?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that, I mean, the planning staff recommended approval. The planning commission also recommended approval to you all. I believe this one went through at the planning commission on consent. Our evaluation is going to be based on the land use policy. The land use policy for this property, and given its location in adjacency to a center, the land use policy of Neighborhood Evolving supports a rezoning to RM20A. We don't make evaluations on straight zonings or generally on SPs in regards to short-term rentals. We refer to the countywide framework as adopted by the council. And so if the land use policy of Neighborhood Evolving supports RM20A, then that is our evaluation, and we wouldn't be making a recommendation on it based on any particular uses, just that it's supported by the policy.
Thank you.
So, this was a good conversation. Councilmember O'Connell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make a note in light of the sponsors' questions to planning just there in that most recent exchange. You know, in this case, it's unusual because I have not seen a lot of rezonings from an SP at the same level of an entitlements to an RM unless the concern were about the use. I will say for my urban residential neighborhoods outside of the downtown code, I have been generally advising them to have a degree of skepticism about the use of RM as opposed to SP because of the sudden incursion of short-term rentals into those developments. In fact, we just had an entire multi-family development that is in RM basically be acquired specifically to become all short-term rentals. And that would have been preventable, and those homes would have been in use as residences had that been an SP instead of an RM.
Thank you. So, Councilmember Mina Johnson. You asked that we pull this out of the consent agenda. Do you have
Yes.
any motion, any?
Yes, Chair, I would like to make a defer one meeting to get more information and allow a council member, a district council member to get more information and feedback from the community.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Kendall? Councilmember Kendall has no objection. Do I have objection? Sorry. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor say aye. Oppose? All right, thank you. Good conversation. And now we go to the last item, which is from Councilmember Pooley, BL 2018-1365. It changes 5.30 acres from R10 to RS10 zoning for various properties located on General Wood Trail, Robin Wood, and Winston Place, south of Woodmont Boulevard. Councilmember Pooley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just, I don't know what the procedure here. I assume somebody from the committee would have to introduce this, but I have a substitute that I deferred it at the last meeting so we could file a substitute and do it timely. And the substitute removes 3 parcels out of this bill.
All right.
So I'd like for someone to move it if I could.
Anyone in the committee? Who? Okay, we have a motion to move. Thank you, Councilmember Pooley. Do I have a second? All right. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Oppose? All right, that.
Now you approve as substitute.
Oh, yes. And now I need a motion again to approve the substitute. There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Oppose? There's nobody opposed. Are there any other items you want to discuss before we finish the meeting? Councilor Hurt, it's good to see you. All right, well, you guys are great. Thank you for joining us today, Councilmember Glover, all of you. And I guess I'll see you later. Meeting adjourned. All right.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.